Welcome to the CEN show, where we present the voice of the community. This show and Conscious Corner are products of the Community Education Network.com. And let me show you the website. Everybody can see it. So here it is. We have a home page, we got an about page, podcast page where we have the audio of all our podcasts. We got over 100. We got perspective writings by myself and Brother Tommy Lee. We got a Legends page, and Professor Alman Ra on the Legends page. We have community actions. We got a forum. I want everybody to participate in this forum when they get time. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. And you could sign up. You just need an email address. You could sign up and you can start a nice topic for people to react to and engage in some dialogue. So come aboard and check it out. All right, let me go back to the home page. So we have a form and we also have recommendations. This is services. Let me show everybody this. Okay, recommendations. We got services and products. And in Compton, Dr. Paul Goss just passed away, but he has his store, Good Body Products, and health food products and herbs and all of that. So we have different businesses on there, so you can check that out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Roski Mascani. Tonight's guest is DeAnthony Langston, founder of The Real Run. The topic tonight is the evolution of basketball in Southern California. I met DeAnthony in the summer of 1985. We spent the whole summer together as teammates in the Inglewood College Basketball Summer League, very popular summer league back in the mid to late 80s. The following year, I joined him and the rest of my teammates, and we became, we was on the basketball team at Long Beach State. We had a 2-good-year run there, my last 2 years of college, and DeAnthony was very instrumental in our success there. So DeAnthony is an international person when it comes to basketball. He does a lot of work in the community with the youth. And he's a great person overall, if you ever met him and know him. Very, very good person. So good evening, Brother D. How are you? And tell us more about yourself.
How you doing, Rigo, man? It's great seeing you again, brother. Good brother.
Roski Mascani.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes,
man.
Sir.
Rico and I go back, man. It's just so funny seeing everybody on here. Professor Raw, Rigo, Chris. I've known Chris since junior high school. And before I get into mine, man, I'm gonna talk about evolution of basketball, whatever you want to talk about. It's important for me to acknowledge Professor Raw, man, because I come from Watts, Vermont Day High School, and he was so profound on a lot of us. It's like laying it down what this was about up here, getting the education, you know what I'm saying? Using basketball, don't let it use you. This is going, I lucked up and played 12 years pro ball. You know what I'm saying? You know how that goes. Some people do, some people don't right there. But, we were talking one day and I'm just like, brother, what's going on? This thing. He's like, man, where you from? I said, what? Where at? Nickerson. What? So, we just instantly started rapping, and I'll never forget, he said, I want you to sit down right here and write me a 2-page paper on anything you want. I said, what? He said, I want you to do that for me right now. Let me see if you, one of these dumb athletes. And so I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me, So I sat down and did it. And he's just like, you ain't no dummy, and I expect you to graduate from here. you know, and so that always stuck to me right there, man. That was my man, and I just like always much respect to Professor Raw for sure.
Much too kind.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Rigo, shoot away.
So you all want to tell us a little bit more about yourself, or you want me to just continue?
No, okay. So I was born and raised and watched the Nixon Gardens, be exact. You know, I went to Vernon Day High School, 112. I went to Markham for a little bit, you know, Locke for a little bit, but my main thing was at Vernon Day. I got a scholarship to Long Beach State, went up there, and, you know, I did decent up there, I guess. Went on and played 12 years professional basketball in Europe and Japan. And for the last 5 years, I did in Japan. You know, so my wife was over there with me. I was born over there. My daughter was over there at the time, and I'm fluent in Japanese right now. And so that was a great experience for me, man. In those times between that, I was doing a little acting. I was a blue monster on Space Jam, you know, the first Space Jam with Mike. So I did a lot of Nike commercials, Gatorade, and all that. So then, you know, I started this after I retired in 2000. I actually went back to Urban Day in 2004 and 5 and became the athletic director and head coach. That was the last time that Urban Day basketball was great, you know, CIF and state, my first year. So after that, these boys from Beverly Hills, West Side, they came up and they're just like, hey, man, we want to start an after-school program dealing with the kids next door to school where I went to school at, and the kids Nixon Guards. And say, okay, so they wanted me to be on the board. Okay, I'm gonna be on the board, you know. So as I'm looking in my first board meeting, I'm looking at the salary that they're looking for that's paying this dude, right? I said, what the heck? You know, so I think I'm making like 45 as an athlete, 45, 50 with bonuses at Vernon Day. And so they were just like, hey, we gotta find somebody that's educated, you know, that knows the community, is not afraid, you know, this. So I'm looking at this. I said, what about me? You know? And they were just like, everybody started whispering each other. Right? It's like a room full of white lawyers, man, like 15 of them and only me. They said, perfect, you got the job. I was like, what? I looked at that money they was giving. I think it was like $80,000 for after school program as a director. I said, I'm taking that right there. So I stopped, you know, I stopped coaching, but then I became a board member of Vernon Day. So Vernon Day is, you know, I always wanted to go to Vernon Day since I was a little kid. You know, just always saw the football team, you know, Lyle and them running through the projects, and we would follow them up there, you know, run up there. So I always had that infatuation with going to Vernon Day. And so, you know, to go back there and be, you know, a board member, athletic director, and head coach, it meant a lot. Brought me full circle in my life right there. So, you know, we had a lot of prominent people on the board at Vernon Day. You know, I'm just like, oh, wow, you know, a couple of billionaires, you know, philanthropists, you know, so that laid the groundwork for me and my Real Run Foundation. Now, I was always doing work in the community, but, you know, I wasn't legitimate until 2018, where I actually filed for my own 501c3. And so that started off the name Real Run. Stevie Thompson, remember Stevie Thompson went to Crenshaw in Syracuse? Yeah. So Stevie Thompson and I, we used to always play in Carson at Veteran Sports Complex and had this league going. And so Nike came down one day. They were just like, "Oh man, you guys got something going on here." Like, okay, whatever. So I go back to Japan, me and Stevie, and Stevie's like, "Hey, you coming back to that meeting Christmas time?" I said, "I'm not coming back home for no meeting at Nike. Man, you going to handle that." So I stayed over there. He came back and showed me, you know, what they were proposing. I was like, oh, wow. So, you know, by that time, we had all the guys, Kevin Hollins, Ray Spencer, rest in peace, you know, Larry Spriggs, John Williams, all those guys would come up there and working out with us in the morning time. And so, you know, we turned that into a league. And so, you know, it became real big. I had Lamont Murray, Tracy Murray, Bo Outlaw in the early ages right there, and really flipped and went to national when I got Paul Pierce and Baron Davis in 2000. Now, Jason Crow, who's the head coach at Linwood right now, Chris Johnson, Marcus Johnson's son, they bought Paul and Baron. They were boys right there. And so the league just exploded, you know? And so I mean, it was the biggest league in the country at the time. You know, Drew was, you know, they were doing their thing over there, but our league, you know, was the biggest thing. Penny Hardaway, Antoine Walker, Gilbert Arenas, you know, Andre Miller. We just had, you know, guys over there just grew up in the community. Stace Bozeman, Dominique Ellison, those guys, you know, grew up in the community, and, you know, they went to college, their respective places, and they did very well. So now that was a core of my real run right there. And it just kind of just boom. And so I stopped doing that because, you know, when I went to Vermont Day and become athletic director, you know, you got to concentrate on that. I didn't have a football program. I had to bring the football program back. So I'm just like, man, I'll deal with that real run later on. So I just started doing high school events, Real Run Winter Classic. Like I have one Saturday at Fireball High School, is the 15th annual Real Run Winter Classic. And that stems from me going to Vermont Day right there and stopping the Pro Summer League. But I did bring the Pro Summer League back. You know, James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, you know, all Brandon Jennings, all those guys came back in 2011. At the same time, the Drew League blew up. But, you know, Nike was like, hey, man, why don't you concentrate on the younger guys? And, you know, that's what I did right there. But, you know, for me to come out and turn that into, you know, during the pandemic, you know, I was going to Nixon Guards, raised like $150,000, you know, worth of money to get to food. So Brad Pitt and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, man, we collaborated up, man, and we were doing stuff for a whole like year, you know, over there. Just, you know, every Friday we would feed the whole projects. They would come over and get boxes and boxes of food, you know. Shout out to Brad Pitt and Flea, two of the coolest cats you ever meet. You know what I'm saying? They just weren't, you know, they were really about the community right there. And they still about the community right there. So Brad used to come over there by himself, man, in the truck, you know, motorcycle, wasn't tripping, Flea. You know, he still comes over there right now. So that was a nice time. And, you know, that's what I've always been about. So full circle with Chris Shepard. Chris Shepard and I go back like 7th and 8th grade. You know, his cousin, my boy Todd Hollowell, we went to Emerson together. And so I used to see him, Chris, over Todd's crib over the weekend when I go over there and kick it with him. And so for him to come back at this point, he had been asking me about joining, you know, Job Corps for years. And I was just like, man, I ain't had time for that right there. And so one day he called me up. He said, man, I really need somebody to, you know, to take over this recreation department for me at Job Corps. And I'm just like, man, I can do it. He's like, man, I've been asking you for years. I said, as of right now, 30 minutes ago, I can do it. So I jumped into that, and we were very successful. And Chris was like, oh, man, you know, you're really doing your thing up here. And other people wanted to pull me in different directions. Hey, you need to come over here in this department, counseling. You come over here, community business liaison. And Chris was like, nah, man, stay in your lane right here. You can do everything from recreation. And so I did do that right there. And so, you know, we just ventured in other things, partnered up, and it led to bigger roles for me, you know, in Job Corps with different contractors right there. So, you know, my thing is trying to use my resources to help our community. And the only way you can reverse systemic racism, in my opinion, is economically. Great paying jobs. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, $20, $30 an hour, you know, that's not really getting it in Southern California. You know, they need something, you know, 80, 90, $100,000 a year in those type of careers out there. It's just like, who are going to connect those dots? You know what I'm saying? Who is not going to be selfish, you know what I'm saying, and go to their connection like, hey, man, this is what we need right here. We need a program that's going to really, instead of a LVN, RN, which is nothing wrong with them programs, let's do a physician assistant program where they're making 80, 90, 100 off the back right there. Let's educate them on that right there. And, you know, whatever lack of knowledge that we have with financial literacy, you know, in a couple of years, you'd have made enough money, whatever you done went through messing your money off, you can regain it, you know, because you can learn from that right there. It's like, okay, I'm making 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a year. I done bought a car, I done bought some rims, I bought some jewelries, I bought all this right here. And when you naturally learn about it, because we don't have a strong background in that right there, it's like you're still making great money. They're just like, hey, you know what? I need to save now for a house. I need to do that. I remember Coach Handbook, he was my coach my senior year at Long Beach State. And he always told me, he said, hey, man, listen, get you a house, get you a property. If you get a property, your life gonna be straight. It's like, man, what are you talking? I grew up in the projects, man. It's like, what are you talking about? Get a property, whatever, like that. But that was true, man. That was my first thing I did when I got a little piece of money, man. I got a crib in Carson, I still have right now, you know, and that did save me through the years, up into cheap peaks and valleys of the economic fall and all that type of stuff, man. So that right there that he gave me was unreal. So for me to give that to our community is necessary for me right there, because I was always blessed. I had a mom that, you know, made sure we was educated, you know, did our thing. She worked hard. But I've been blessed to, you know, be overseas for 12 years, man, be around, you know, Desmond Tutu, Ethel Kennedy, Barack Obama, you know, all kind of people across the world right there, world travel, man. And so I try to use my relationships to help out my kids in the community right there. And so that's important for me. It's important for me to, you know, have Bill Duffy as one of my mentors. Do you remember Bill Duffy, Ra? From he went to Pomona. He's from Pomona. Played basketball. Who did he play with? Like David Greenwood and those guys like that. Went to Damien High School. Bill Duffy. So that's one of my mentors right there. And to see people like him to come out and really be successful, where they, you know, they successfully got this bid, and let me help me with that a little bit, Chris, in Oakland, where they're buying half of the Coliseum over there and developing that to all Black, you know, organization, you know.
Yeah, they're doing they're redeveloping the land in the Oakland Coliseum area, and what they're going to is going to encompass education, housing, jobs, retail. It's kind of a proliferation of a community.
Black Wall Street.
Yeah, along those lines of a Black Wall Street. Yes. So yeah, so they apparently they won the contract. They got the deal done, and they were awarded the contract to go ahead and move forward with the process. So, you know, right now they're in many conversations. I talked to one of the main players the other day. He's receiving calls from all over the place of people trying to get involved, from hotels to educational backing to all type of other finances as far as banking is concerned. It's a major project here in the Bay Area that's about to take place. Major.
Excellent.
So, you know, me connecting with people like that is very important, because, you know, my gift is connecting with people. And so, you know, I'm connecting with a person like that, as powerful as like that, and as conscious as he is, you know, that's going to reverberate throughout our community, you know, and we're going to have some kids that, you know, for whatever reason, Mr. Boat didn't get the proper guidance or whatever, we're going to be able to catch it in right there. And that's important for me right there, to always try to give back right there. So that's what I'm about right there. That's what my foundation is about. You know, everything that I stand for in life, it's about using my relationships, you know, to help, you know, our community out.
Excellent. So let's get some particulars about the real run. You said you had started it and you stopped it. So when did it originate?
1998.
Okay, and then you stopped doing it when you went to
Bourbon Days. So I
Day?
stopped it like 2004.
Okay, and then when did it pick back up?
2011.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so that was my first question. So I'm gonna go to my second one. And then before we do that, DeAnthony, let's acknowledge your mom. You know, she took out time to support you here today. So let's acknowledge her.
Hello.
Welcome, Miss Vivian Walden.
Yeah.
Pleasure to
hello.
see you. And
Nice
thanks
to
for
be here.
coming out.
Thank
Mom, that was one of my teachers, Professor Raw, at the top, and
you. Okay.
with me at Long Beach State. And you remember Chris Shepard right here at the
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Hi,
You got
and
it.
thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So now, DeAnthony, the evolution of basketball in Southern California, that could be real vast. So what specifically do you want to discuss about this topic?
Well, how people in California are dominating the basketball scene now, you know? And, I know Professor Raw, he knows about those great Compton High School teams, you know? They were great. And, Vermont Day took up right after that. Then Crenshaw came along. And those were, Black schools, African-American schools right there, man. And they were big for the community. And so for whatever reason, the West Coast really didn't get its proper due respect in basketball. I don't know if it has something to do with UCLA dominating for so long. And, people, because I heard the stories from, Coach Ratliff, Coach McDonald, I was such a rivalry with Long Beach State and UCLA and how they were like cheating to get a big win in the NCAA tournament. But, UCLA dominated with Coach Wooden for years, but you never saw, a lot of guys on the West Coast getting their props. Even when, we were going to camps on the East Coast, we would never get our due. It was always the guys on the West and from the East Coast and the South. But, they labeled us soft, light skin, pretty, we couldn't play, whatever. But we always had players, and Raymond Lewis, that's my guy right there, rest in peace. He was a monster. They had Lewis Brown at Vermont Day, Michael Johnson at Crenshaw, Marcus Johnson, Reggie Theus. We always had players around. And then my era, like Chris Sandler at Long Beach Poly, he didn't make it to the league, but he's a big-time player. You had John Williams, you had Eldridge Hudson, you had Dwayne Poley. Those guys start breaking in, but it wasn't like those, it was like one or two, during the year. But look, last year in the draft, you had Evan Mobley from Southern California, Jalen Green from Fresno, Josh Christopher from Carson, and Zaire Williams from the Valley, Palmdale. So, you have four guys from California in the first round. And so if you look at statistics now, you see that by far, California has most people in the NBA right now. And so I think a lot of that attributes to, us not being recognized like we were supposed to. I mean, you look at DeMar DeRozan, James Harden, Paul Pierce, Baron Davis, Tyson Chandler, Tayshaun Prince, Andre Miller. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. The guy Spencer Dinwiddie right now, Stanley Johnson, Darren Collison. I mean, it just goes on and on and on that we've just really taken over. So I think through time, us not getting our respect, that we just like, okay, gonna come out here and, the weather's great. You see my screensaver right now, how the weather is out there. Everybody wants to gravitate out here and play. But, we just start taking over, man. And it was always there. But, as of the last 10 years, it's just Trevor Ariza, it's just been on a different level, man, of us coming in there and getting our breaks and making it happen.
Okay, so Professor Rob, now he mentioned the Compton High School, and also back in the 60s, Centennial was pretty powerful, wasn't it? I know in the
Well, I was on one team. We won Coast League and we went to CIF. I was one of the first players that did it. But first of all, I want to say how just beautiful it is to see Brother DeAnthony, Brother Chris, and see his mom. And it's just a beautiful thing. First of all, I want to say how proud I am of both of you for your accomplishments. First of all, we have a lot in common. I grew up in Watts. I went to Markham. My son became a vice principal at Markham, and my daughter taught at Markham. I remember the bounty hunters and Hawkins hamburger stand right there across the street. I mean, it's still standing. They're trying to move it. It used to be a Wiener Schnitzel over there and a gas station right there off of Imperial Highway. I mean, we roll with Nicholson and 109th Street Playground and all of that. So it's good to come out of Watts because you get a balance. But above all, you use your education and your common wit and your ability to have the charisma, the foresight, the insight, and the hindsight to to position yourselves in some very high profile positions. And I can't wait to tell Barry Thomas and all the other brothers that I see what y'all doing. And to start a league is not easy. And to become an executive in a federal program is not easy. And so it's just a beautiful thing to see what you have done. And really, you have to give your loved ones, your parents, or those that helped you on the way, those bridges that brought you over, that taught you to be ethical and principled. It's not easy to come out ethical and principled and focused when you dealing in an environment that many of us grew up in. We could have easily went the other way. So many of our friends did, with drug selling and drug using, alcoholism, and trying to outrun helicopters and computers and now cameras. And it's a challenge. And I'm just so proud of both of you because you went further than just your education. There are people with degrees that have not accomplished what y'all have with regards to travel and with regards to your interactions with various people. But I just have a few questions, DeAnthony. First of all, are you still on the board with Bourbon Day?
No.
Okay. Do you still work with them?
Yeah, I still work with them for sure.
Because they got a sister over there that's a principal.
Yeah,
you were there
Brandy.
with Lalo. Yeah, you were down there with Lalo and all of them in those days. And I remember George McCorn and all of that. But basketball has always been a tool for us prior to rapping and sports as a stepping stone out of our communities, or a stepping stone for us to get scholarships and get more out of the education than they got out of us. And so that's very important. The other thing is that the focus of you going back and helping the community with Brad Pitt is monumentous. It's a very spiritual thing to give people food and to provide for them things. And I just want to know, is that program still going on? You say he still comes back. Are y'all still working over there in the projects when you get a chance?
Yeah, no, I'm still connected over there. My friends, they have their programs going over there. Kush, Watch This 360 Foundation, two gentlemen that I grew up with. And, my biggest thing for me being able to help the community out was growing with Job Corps. That was the biggest way for me, just food was just kind of like, hey, listen, it's easy to go get people to donate food and those type of things. It's the hustle and it's right there. So that was kind of easy to do, and it was gratifying to do that. I know Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he's raised like $1.4 million to build a whole new, playground over there for the kids, with a theater and all that back over there. So I'm really connected. But my focus was like this job according to the Department of Labor, because it's a 1.6 billion annual job training placement program. And I know there was the easiest way for me to help out our people.
Yeah, well, Job Corps, when the young youth go to Job Corps, will Job Corps train them in a special skill or something?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how does that work? Because there's a lot of people that, like you said yourself, you wouldn't even hip the Job Corps.
Yeah.
Until Chris hipped you to it. So there's a lot of kids, young people, especially from challenging environments and homes and things of this nature, may not be aware of the opportunities in Job Corps. What is the end game when the youth go to Job Corps? What is the goal? And either you and Chris can elaborate on that.
Chris, I'm gonna let Chris get Chris. You know, I mean, I'm on a rudimentary level.
No, D is on a good level with Job Corps. You know, like he said, he was trying to go into different areas when he was at the center level. And like I told him, I said, man, stay in your lane. There's so much you can do with the recreational program that can cover all lanes. And you're gonna find out people are gonna come to your lane. And that's exactly what happened. Now, as far as the Job Corps objectives, oh, by the way, I sent a text to Carl Adams, who's on now, and he's an ex-Job Corps student. So it'd be good to hear from him as well. But I'll kind of tee it off with the following. Job Corps, like DeAnthony says, is a $1.6 billion type program. And the prime objectives for the Job Corps program that adheres to youth from the ages of 16 to 24 is for them to lead with certifications that support their career pathway. And what does that mean? So they come in, if they need a high school diploma, they can work on that. What it specializes in is the training part, the career technical training program. So they have various career technical training, hard trade, soft trade, health occupational training programs. They cover the gamut. And if there's something out there that a contractor needs fit that they would like to bring on, then they will submit some documentation that's required for us to review and make a determination to see if this fits our format. And then that program is allowed to come on. The key to all this is job placement, career placement, being placed in a career field that can help you become a viable tax-paying citizen in the United States of America and or abroad. That is the crutch of the program. It takes you through 5 phases. Outreach and admission, they do the recruitment of the eligible students to determine your eligibility. You come in, you go into what they call a career preparation period, which is /now career pathway period. Okay, you come in there and after you finish that program, you go into your career development. Now that's your education or your hands-on career technical training program. Once you graduate from that level, you go into your career transition where you work with hands-on wraparound services with counselors, instructors on various levels, residential advisors, the whole gamut of the staff there in trying to assist you in placing you into your career field that you completed the program in. Mostly it comes from your career transition specialist, which is phase 4 of the program. And the 5th phase of the program is actual career placement. So that's Job Corps on a high level in a nutshell. Okay.
Are the youth paid when they get in?
The youth, yeah, they get a stipend pay. It's a residential and non-residential type program. A residential and non-residential type program. So you can live at particular Job Corps centers, or you can live at home at your residence and commute back and forth to the program. Right now, considering taking out the COVID crisis that's taking place now, some things have slowed down. But the government is putting things in place in order for it to build back up, and there's going to have to be some guidelines that everybody have to go by in order to participate in the program.
Okay. Now, basketball evolution in Southern California, and DeAnthony is correct that a lot of people saw us on the West Coast is soft because we played 3-on-3 mostly coming up, where the East Coast, they were playing full court. and they had a whole new different attitude. You know, a lot of the people on the West Coast, we played zone. Most of them played man to man. They go to 9 points, and then you go to defense. I mean, people lined up in the gym. I mean, they played that way. Whereas we sort of just grew into a championship mode with Jordan High used to be a major team. Fremont, Jeff, all of them had great teams in the 50s and 60s, Jumping Joe Cardwell and all of that. Basketball, has always been a game in which our physical agility and kinesiology allows us to perform. Football, basketball, track, especially the sprint, because of our physical anatomy to play. As you know, DeAnthony, there are a lot of cats that didn't get a chance to use that physical. They used it. They didn't graduate. They didn't find their way for some kind of reason. And with your league, I don't know how many of them participate and regroup and get back in school or finish their degree. But as a part of your league, is there any consultation or any efforts to get a lot of the cats who come to play, gym rats and cats that join the league because they can just shoot the ball and jump and tall, but really didn't finish school, really didn't finish anything, just playing because it's competition. Is there any efforts to say, hey man, you need to get back in school or go into coaching or anything like that? Do y'all have any program like that as a part of your foundation and league?
Yeah, so I want to know, as one of my friends from DC, Stephen Whittaker on there. So Stephen, he's on here right now as well. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for 95 or something like that. And, we were real good friends with Langston and Patrick Ewing. So he was there, back in the day when the league was used to come out here in the summertime and watch us play out there. So, they got the Kenner League down there. So he knew how serious things. So Steve, my man, what's up with you now?
What's up, sir? How are you? Always a pleasure.
I'm doing good, man. So this is my Professor Raw right here, man. He's one of my Black Studies teachers at Long Beach State. Rico, at the top, that's my teammate. My mom's right there. Remember my mom's? My brother, Carl Adams, Chris Shepard, my boy right there from junior high school. So back to your question, Mr. Raw. Now, I have it's a college league and a high school league, right? So these guys are coming from Long Beach State, UCLA, USC, and I think like we get the junior college kids, East LA, they had a team in there right there, always trying to connect them. And so my affiliation with Real Ron and Paul Pierce the last 20 years, we've had a program where, like the kid Jaime Jaquez at UCLA right now, he played in our program. Jalen Green played in our program. Aiden Shackelford, you guys at USC, all San Diego State, all over the country. So we use as a platform as AAU to help you guys get scholarships. Now, just because who I am, absolutely, I know kind of, who needs help, who doesn't need help right there. So I'm always trying to steer them into places where, okay, Cal State Fullerton may be looking for a kid right here. So, I have a direct hookup with these coaches right now. So I call them up, or, a lot of these kids, they're looking for my help to get them overseas playing ball. I'm not an agent, but I owe that to them right there, because so many people like, hey, I want to play pro ball. It's like, we don't even talk about pro ball until we get the education going right there, but yeah, we do, help them out, guide them, mentor them as far as getting, like Patrick Ewing, Leonard Hamilton, Penny Hardaway, Jawan Howard, all those are personal friends of mine right there. So I use those relationships right there. I'm like, hey, man, I got this kid out here. You remember the kid, Carl Lewis, that that got killed in Compton a couple years ago. They went
Yeah.
to high school. So that was one of our players right there. And so we did everything in the center. I actually sent him back to DC with Steve and them and his crew back there to get him out of here to try to make it. And, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out, man. And that was one of our low points as far as the organization, me personally. The kid has so much talent. And, you know, just us growing up in that community right there, you know, it's tough to really get out. And so, you know, it didn't work out for him. But yeah, absolutely. We definitely help kids out, getting scholarship, place them in schools and stuff like that. No question.
Okay. Okay. So DeAnthony, I have a few more questions. And then since we have a pretty good large panel here, I want to get them to participate. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the panel to see if, you know, anybody have questions or comments. So I'm gonna start with mom.
Different background.
Okay. Ms. Walton, do you have any questions or comment for your son?
Well, I'll just say that I'm, you know, as a mom, I'm really proud of him because a lot of times people are raised in the community, and when they make it in the community, they leave and they don't look back. And that's not something he's done. He's always reached back for the little tattered kids trying to climb across the street from 100 and the 12th Street School. They kind of looked up to Bourbon, you know, kind of a bridge from that area into Bourbon Day, because everybody's untapped potential and people don't realize their potential until they have an opportunity a lot of times, like my kids. Yeah, so I'll just say that I don't have any questions for him because I see the works that he does. Because I see him on video out there early in the morning in Nickerson Gardens when other people wouldn't even drive over there, busting, trying to set up things, you know, so people could bring whatever goods they're going to bring in there to help the community. So I don't have a question about it because I see what he's doing. I'm really proud of him. Yes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here and thanks for that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Welcome. Okay. Brother Doctor, comment, questions?
No, very, very impressive, man. You know, he went through those names, man, of all the basketball players. You know, I'm just here, just remembering, you know, from the Watch Summer games when, you know, Eddie Thomas and Ernie Carr used to take us to these games, man. And the one name, you know, I want to ask about, you mentioned everybody except Jarvis Bashnight. He was part of those crew with Eldridge Hudson and all them cats. What happened to him? And I played with Terry Carr from Dominions. And unfortunately, you know, to my opinion, Terry Carr probably was the best point guard I ever seen, man, played with. But those are a few players. My question is, yeah, you know, a lot of people don't understand, you know, the stuff that you did to organize that program, the behind the scenes. I did some little micro stuff, kind of what you were doing. I don't think a lot of people don't understand the stress. I want to know the stress factor you were doing, trying to get all these multiple agencies, entities together to get this off the ground and running, and your support base. Who did you have there, you know, doing those little runs for you, getting this information and making these contacts besides yourself, man? Because, you know, when you get trying to organize stuff, getting places, people understand you need insurance. There's a lot of local codes, building codes, and fire car marshal codes, a lot of stuff behind the scenes people don't see. And for you to accomplish all that, man, and still look young, I'm impressed. Because I did it, man. It stressed me out. And my stuff was on micro, just trying to get a couple of people together, the food banks, and then the food banks, the clothes drives, getting people jobs and getting all these construction companies and, you know, OSHA, getting the stuff to go out there, working those oil tanks out in Carson. And that stressed me out, man, trying to get, you know, but once it was gone, you just felt that relief. So my question, can you talk about the stress and your support base on organizing all that, man?
Absolutely. To hit you up about Jarvis Bashnight, that was one of my teammates at Bourbon Day.
Okay.
So, he was a phenom coming out here from Detroit. And so when I look forward to playing against him at UNLV when I was at Long Beach State, we actually beat them our last game in Thomas and Mack Arena. You know what I'm saying? We smacked them. You know what I'm saying? So, Jarvis is back living in Detroit right now. So I guess he's doing his thing. I hear from him with the other guys when they go down to UNLV, Lawrence West and those guys. But, to go back how all this came about and real running all this, and like I said, we were just, it was luck, doing what you're supposed to do, being in the right place at the right time. A guy named Damon Haley. Damon Haley graduated from Washington High School in 83, 84, right? So he went on, he's the smartest brother. He worked with Michael Jordan, Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, Kobe, LeBron James, and marketing. So he is the smartest brother I've ever met in terms to marketing. And so, he came down one day and saw us doing pickups, running Stevie Thompson and I, and just like, wow, man, you guys really have something going on right here. And we're just like, okay, whatever, And so, he came back with this contract to us, and just like, and laid everything out from A to Z. I took it from right there, him coming back, being the head of marketing and for Nike, on the West Coast, and seeing something that we had. It's like, okay, they got something, because the Pro Summer League and the Field Summer League reached out to him for them to come sponsor up there. He was, I don't want to do that right there. They ain't, no. He came down there and saw ours. He said, I want this right here. This is authentic, right? This is grassroots right here. So he gave me the whole formula from A to Z. Like you say, insurance, referees, uniform, ordering uniforms, sponsorships, all that type of stuff right there. And so, another friend of mine, Stefan Freeman, he was working at Pepsi at the time. So at the plant in Carson. And so, another friend of mine, Russell Edmond, he was at let's see, I'm trying to pull up Steph now. Russell Edmond was working at the Hilton Hotel in Carson, right? I know he was a big deal, and so I was always a good networker. And so, I was going out to, and actually I'm the commissioner of Parks and Rec City of Carson now. So Jerry Grooms, city manager in Carson, they saw what I had going on with my league. I didn't know what it was. It's just a bunch of guys from, LA playing ball. I didn't look at any different. John Williams, Paul Pierce, Baron Davis, they were all just guys, some made it and some didn't. But I was always good at talking. And, I just used that relationship with Russell at the Hilton to meet Stefan Freeman. And those are two of my guys right now. Stefan actually has his own drink now. It's an iced tea called Venice Beach Beverage. It's his own company. Him and his wife got that going. They got like thousands of distributions across the country right there. So that was my guy. So Damon, Stefan, and Russell, those guys were in corporate America. The Hilton, Nike, and Pepsi. He was a plant manager at Pepsi right here, was the biggest producing plant in America. And so, just my relationship with those guys and seeing how they operate, the Chamber of Commerce, everybody pulling on them, wanting to be around them. And naturally, me being 6'10", once I'm around them, everybody else is going to like, who are you, this and that. So it was kind of easy for me, really, Doc. You know what I'm saying? I lucked out with it, but I had some great people. I had a great support group with me with Damon Haley, Thaddeus McGrew from Nike as well. But like I said, Stefan Freeman and Russell Edmond, those guys on the corporate level, man, they really, because they enjoyed coming down there and seeing all those NBA stars, I'm not really tripping on these guys because we're playing every day. These these are young kids, John Williams, Wayne Paul, you know, okay, those are my guys my age. But, you know, they're coming down with their bosses and all that type of stuff. It's like, yo, this dude's got all these dudes down here, man. Let me help him out a little bit, you know? So then I get a sponsorship from Hilton Hotel. Then I get one from Pepsi. And you remember Don Cott, Professor Raw?
Probably if I seen.
Don Cott Ford in Carson, that big Ford dealership. So
Yeah.
Right out the
Okay.
Pearl 5.
there you go right there. So that became my man right there, you know? And so I just, you know, through city council, learning all about that right there, back in the day, all that, having no support, man, I just took off, man. It was just, and it carried to me what I'm doing right now.
Okay, excellent. Excellent, excellent. Let's go to Brother Mashinda. Question or comment?
No question, just very interesting comments that I'm hearing. And just like I said, I just want to mimic what's been said, you know, very inspirational. You know, foot soldier from the neighborhood, you know, putting his work together, putting it in action. And just to keep up the good work, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Okay, Carl Adams. Unmute, please. Unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank-
Carl,
Thank you for the invite to this Zoom meeting. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, you have a question or comment for DeAnthony?
No, not at all. The only comment I have is congratulations, man.
appreciate it. Carl is one of those young soldiers, man, that he was a Job Corps student. And so Chris was a mentor, you know, to him. And so he rose all the way up to the rank deputy director, which is the second in charge of Long Beach Job Corps. And then he ended up taking a job in New Mexico, just, you know, and I'm quite sure we're going to reach back to and bring him back here one day. But he's an outstanding young man. He was a Job Corps student. Chris was a mentor to him, you know, and he talked so well about him. And I'm happy to see him on here doing well. And, you know, I can't wait to connect. So I'm glad you're on here for sure, though.
Okay. All right, Stephen Whittaker.
Yes, sir. How's everyone?
Good.
Well, as DeAnthony said, we've probably been friends about 25 years. And again, I'm an East Coast guy from DC, and obviously he's from LA. And we found that mix many years ago, and a lot of the guys he mentioned, Alonzo Mourning, Kembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing, friends of ours, and we kind of met through them 25 years ago. And DeAnthony and I just kind of met in the middle and became very good friends. And I watched Real Run. I used to, when my sons were small, I would fly out in the beginning of Real Run every summer, as DeAnthony mentioned, and we'd be out there and we sit courtside with D. So I kind of watched this thing from his onset and his determination and his drive. And I still tease him. One of the first calls 2 or 3 times a week, you know, again, it's a 3-hour difference between LA and DC. In the morning is DeAnthony. He's an early riser. He's up on the grind. If you know him, I know his mom can speak to this. He's up grinding. My phone rings.
Yeah.
It's 5 or 6 o'clock here, so it's 3 or 4 in LA, and it's deep. And he's like, "Good morning, what's up?" And he's grinding. That's him. But that kind of determination is what has spearheaded his success. And certainly, you know, I have a super nod for Real Run because I watched it from his onset. As my sons are grown now, but they were little. And we'd fly out there every summer, and D would make sure we were there. You know, he's like, "It's starting here, Steve, when you're coming," you know. So I just been there as a support system and watch him grow. And certainly he, as his mom alluded to, and I can speak from 25 years of the many friends that I have, and D is probably on the top 5 of those friends. He has always reached back and try to help the kids. He's always has. He's always looking for an avenue. He's on the phone with me, like I say, early in the morning saying, "I got this kid and he's got opportunity here, and I got to talk to this person." He's that guy. He's that guy that's going to go the extra mile for us and certainly for our children. And I've watched it, and he's my main man, and I'm super proud of him.
Excellent, excellent. Appreciate that. Okay, Darnell.
My brother.
Oh, okay.
How's everything going?
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Question or comment for your brother?
No question. My comment for him is I'm always proud of the things that he's accomplished. He does reach out to the neighborhood that we grew up in, and he's a very positive influence for all of those people. And as long as people like him continue to do what they do, this world will be a great place.
Excellent. Okay, we got a user on here. That's what it's that's the identification user.
Who is that?
I don't know. I was just
Somebody
wondering.
anonymous, I know for sure though. Who is that right there? Please.
So can you unmute user if you want to, or we will move on. Okay. I guess user just on observing, which is fine. Everybody's
Is
welcome.
that Chuck on there?
Everybody's welcome. All right, so we're gonna go to Brother Chris, and then we're gonna go back to the last two questions.
Oh, come on, Chuck. You gotta say what's up, Chuck. Come on, knock it off.
Is that Chuck on there playing around deep?
No, it's my other boy Chuck from Virginia.
Well, he has the choice to, listen or ask question or comment. So it's all good. All right, Chris.
Chuck.
Well, moving forward on that, thank you. Moving forward on that, D, of course, echoing what everybody has been saying on the Zoom thus far. But now knowing what I know that you're about to leap into as a part of a corporate team that's heading the Job Corps program in Portland, okay? In that aspect, you spoke about the history of Real Run and springboarding into this corporate environment. How are you going to kind of use a vision for that environment that also supports the Real Run and vice versa? And I know this probably won't happen immediately, and it'll probably come on later on down the line, but it all starts with a vision. So I want to know, have you thought about that? Has anything come to your mind that you'd like to discuss about that? If you could just share those thoughts. I don't know. I don't know if that was a little bit too deep at this point.
The feds, only the feds I fear, No, actually, it does tie into everything about with my foundation. Like my foundation is my foundation. It gives me a pathway, to send kids to, and as far as, the Portland Job Corps right there, I put some pretty powerful people together up there to ensure that I have a great landing spot for these kids.
Right.
So, my thing has always been, hey, let me find something, that's great and make it greater, And so now with this Job Corps in Portland and the relationship that I have with kids in Southern California, I have a destination spot for them. So now it's just up to me to make sure that, those relationships are great up there. So when those kids graduate from that Job Corps up there, they have a great career. And the only way a career is great to me is how much money you make. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, it doesn't matter, whatever, but, pharmacy, tech, or whatever, that's fine. But, are you going to find something in that field that's going to be $25, $30 an hour? Are you going to find something that's $80, $90, $100,000 for those students up there right there? And so that's my togetherness right there, bridging that gap right there with those kids. It's like getting this Job Corps right here, it is so important for me to be involved, with it right there. I was opening another one here in LA, and that was a great experience for me. But now on this level, I'm able to do things that are more impactful for the students. And that's what it's all about for me right there. And just for me to be able to snatch a kid from Watts you know, from Compton, South Central LA, Long Beach. It's like, hey, what's going on? A parent reach out. You know, parents reach out to me all the time. Big brother, sister, all that. Hey, do basketball. You know me as the basketball coach. But now I have so much more to offer, you know, with this Department of Labor connection. I have the Job Corps connection. So, you know, I hope that answers your question right there.
Well, yeah, it does. And just for everybody to know, DeAnthony had gotten involved in this process, you know, after turning me down many years before, but that was fine though, because it worked out better now. But in the proposal process, there's 5 questions. There are 5 questions. One is directed to our career pathways. One is counseling placement.
You notice public knowledge, right?
Yeah, this is public now. This is public information. Yeah.
Okay.
And but one of the big questions is about relationships with the community. Relationships with the community. That's a major question. And I have to say that out of the 5 questions, the resources that DeAnthony brought to the table responded, out of the 5 of those questions, responded to 4 of them. Pretty much almost answered them in solo format. So that was a good shot for his first go, and the resources, his networking community that he brought to the table. So all the things that he is talking about, he's definitely doing, and that was one of the formats that proved it for me in itself right there. So I'm looking forward to this contract being very, very successful in bridging that gap. So good luck in that path.
Okay, D. All right, thanks for that, Chris. D, let me get these questions to you.
Listen, that is my guy Chuck from Virginia on there. He just has his grandbaby with him right there, but he's listening to me, give me a hand, thumbs up like that. He's like, yo, great job. So that is my guy. I want to acknowledge him on there. So go ahead.
Okay, in your opinion, what can basketball do for youth of color in a race-based society where people of color are faced with many disadvantages?
What can basketball do?
That's right.
I always tell kids, you know, use basketball. Don't let it use you. And the only way through basketball, you know, the foundation is getting a great education. There's so many different avenues now with, you know, kids going pro out of high school, going to the G League, going overseas right there. But if you're able to use your talents to get the best education possible, in case you're never able to make any money playing ball, you do that right there. And so them giving us access to scholarships to come to these universities, SC, UCLA, Long Beach State, LMU, to put us in that environment to learn, you know, with other people from across the world right there. I think that's the biggest, you know, thing for us as a human being, as minorities from the inner city, is our ability to get these scholarships and learn. You know, once we get to school, it's not just about basketball anymore. It's a well-rounded thing, you know. I mean, how many guys, Kristen, you didn't play basketball, you know what I'm saying? But me and you are the closest friends right there. Rigo, you and I, you know, did play basketball. How many guys do you talk to in the basketball world? You talk to Reggie, you talk to Billy. They're not involved with basketball right now. But school helps us learn different avenues. It gives us different options. Okay, this dude's gonna be president. He's gonna do Microsoft right here. We got Steven Spielberg right here. It just gives you a way to get out and network right there. And so, you know, as long as, you know, basketball is giving it an opportunity to get a free education and to meet different people, network, that's what it's really about right there.
Okay. All right, last question. What are your goals moving forward in the world of basketball?
My goals in basketball are to continue to, you know, being mentor to young men. My daughter was a big time player, and so I want to exclude women, you know, to, you know, people of color, to help guideline them to what does Chuck say right here? To help guideline it. Thank you. My goal with basketball, not only just basketball, but it's in general to use my relationships to help them better their lives. And basketball is just one avenue. But, you know, Job Corps is another avenue for me right now. But strictly the basketball is, you know, clearly getting them hooked up to get education paid for right there and put it in successful, you know, situations in schools where they can be successful and they can reach back like I'm doing right now and help the next community.
You know what? Okay, Rob, let me ask him one more question because I think this is very important. When we were playing ball, D, I noticed you, and I ain't gonna say too much about me. I noticed I didn't see you drinking or smoking, and I didn't see you womanizing. Tell me this: what strategies kept you from being that way?
Me.
With me when I was doing those things, I'm messing with you, dog. You know, we all have fun in college, you know, but you know, I didn't want to go back to the projects, man. Seriously, you know, I had to make it. I got on probation when it's 11th grader at Vermont High School, and it wasn't because I was dumb or anything like that, but it was just, being a young kid and just like, you know, and just do this. I ain't got to do that because I went to school. But it was the most humbling experience I've ever witnessed right there of being at a school that's known for basketball like that. And I'm being one of the tallest people up there, and I couldn't play because of my grades. So when I got to Long Beach State, you know, there was no way in the world I came close to ever being on probation. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, we had a great group of guys around us, man. You know, Billy, Moreland, Jeff Easton, you know, we just had great guys around us right there, you know? And so, you know, our friends, you know, always kept us in check, you know, nobody, you know, you always have, you know, one that, you know, kind of falls wayside, but, you know, being 4 years, having one person fall wayside to, you know, drugs or something like that, that's pretty remarkable right there, man. But, you know, I grew up in that in the project, seeing people get high, you know, best friend being murdered when I was like 8 years old in front of my brother, you know what I'm saying? And so I was never on that right there, man. I wanted to make it, you know what I'm saying? And so I was just using basketball as an avenue to make it. That's it, man. You know, being at Long Beach State, and, you know, Long Beach State for me was like moving to Beverly Hills. You know, I get out of mom's house in the projects and I'm up here with all this freedom up here. So it was incredible. It was a great experience, you know, for me. You know, Walker still one of my closest friends to this day right there. You know, Jeff Easton that came in with us as a freshman. That's my guy. We still talk. Coached me down on his wife, Renee. You know, they've been mentors to so many people around. You know, decades and decades being at Long Beach State. So I just wanted to make it, man. And, you know, I didn't want to go back to the projects, just on the real, you know, and that's why the first opportunity I got me a house. You know, first money I had, I said, let me get this house right here. And I still have this house to this day right here. So, you know, just, you know, being up there, man, just, you know, and then taking like, you know, different classes. Like me and Chris used to have radio television. He was a DJ at KLON on campus, the jazz station, you know, so we had a couple of, you know, communication class together where, you know, where guys were doing, you know, like they had a thing called Jack Move, you know, it was like, you know, boys in the hood, you know what I'm saying? So to be around these different people right here, this culture and just learning like that, man, it was phenomenal for me, man. So, you know, everything about school was great. It's the experience. And, you know, everybody should experience that right there. It's not, you know, people put so many emphasis on because I think Michael Jordan kind of ruined basketball for a lot of people because people in my generation, everybody wanted to be like Mike, you know what I'm saying? Because he was so cold, you know, but that wasn't the case. You know, it's like how many of us on here, played the NBA, played college, played the NFL and those type of things right there. But we're all successful. So, you use that, you may not be in the NBA, but look, my mom came to see me in Japan, my son was born over there. My wife was over there with me. I got friends that, still over there. My son got a degree in Japan because of my relationship 30 years, 25 years ago over there, right there. So you just use those every chance that you get. 1 year I was in France and, I didn't like history. I don't know who liked it. I didn't like history, world history. But this guy reminded me, he said, man, you know that we was on a beach in France and I was on a German bunker, right? So I'm just like, wow, a kid from Watts is in France in a German bunker right now. I wouldn't have cared about that in college, I wouldn't even pay attention to me. But, to go and travel and see the world, Slovenia, France, Portugal, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Greece, Russia, China. That's amazing right there. For a kid like me just to grow up and just like, I didn't know where basketball was going to take me, but, it took me to some very, great places in the world for sure. And all those relationships that I have, I really treasure them.
Okay. So yeah, you mentioned Chris on the 88.1. That brings back good memories. I was listening to it today, Chris, while I was in the car.
Okay.
Excellent. All right.
You mentioned the Jack move too. That's a little undercover radio, TV, film video we did. It was called the Jack move. This is for New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, and all that. We already were doing it in a class.
Okay, so now D, you said you didn't want to go back to the projects, right? But you went back, and you went back for a good reason. You continue to go back, and I think you should, because you go and help, and that's excellent.
Yeah, well, what I mean by I didn't want to go back to the projects, I didn't want to raise my family there. You know what I'm saying? It's like I had to be successful. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like, I have so many friends. There's nothing wrong with the projects. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was born there. My mom was raised up in there like that. I still got childhood friends over there, but I know I wanted so much more. I know it was so much more out there for me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to raise my kids, around the violence. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to give them a fair chance of growing up, not worrying about this and that, every single day right there. It was always natural, for me to go back and help. And so when I went to Vermont Day, and of course, I was always connected, to the projects, to the area, that it just gave me a chance to reintroduce myself on a corporate level in the community, right? And so, I'm their favorite son, what I'm saying? Kid coming from the project, athletic director, head coach at Vermont Day High School. They would go, move and shake it with the city council, the mayor, Janice Hahn, all those type of people right there and do positive things over there. So, that was big for me, right? It really was.
Excellent. All right, Professor Rock.
Yeah, Matt Calvin came out of the Imperial Courts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, me and him went to Ritter together in Watts. But the point is, first of all, it's beautiful how you use basketball rather than basketball using you. A lot of cats come up saying, I'm a ball player, but you took it, hey, look, I play basketball. And you use it as a tool and a weapon to fight your way through life. It's very important that you make as you teach people the importance of character. And that's what Rashiki was saying about you at college, because young people watch you. And young people not only watch you play, but they watch what you do after you play and what you do. And so as a part of the foundation and part of the Job Corps, it's important to emphasize character to our young people. Because, it's when you're in America, racism is one thing, crime is another. But they go hand in hand because racism is a crime. whenever you abuse people because of their race. And, you know, so what I'm just trying to get you to see sometimes is the important thing that I tried to teach at Long Beach, because I didn't want to, you know, I'm like you, I didn't want to end up back doing things that I was doing coming up and being a part of that life, because it's short-lived. You either go to jail, you die, or something, you be strung out on drugs, walking around with no t-shirt on and tattoos, and, you know, asking people for nickels and dimes at gas stations and 7-Eleven. So the important to emphasize character, and I appreciate what you and Chris are doing with the young men in the Job Corps that's on, and staying connected. The importance of relationships and cultivating positive relationships. All of that, you don't teach that. That's something you figure out. That's something that somebody can tell you that's important, but it's something that you live. And then people gravitate towards you once they see them people that you met, them sponsors. They would not have put the money in or the support in if they didn't trust you. And one of the biggest problems we have with young people is to teach them not to be an enemy to themselves, not to be a problem to themselves. And so I just want that to be a part of the curriculum of life that you emphasize to these young people that you touch, because y'all touching young people in Job Corps, you're touching young people in basketball and Job Corps. Money's important, but if you don't have no character, how many of our basketball players, multimillionaires, get caught selling dope? Mm-hmm. We just had a bunch of football players and basketball players in the insurance health fraud. Mm-hmm. The importance of character is very important, because you don't want to be in a position whereas you can't do what you're doing. Living the life you live in, the freedom you have, and you're using it to help others. That's very spiritual, and that's very few people. Most people are selfish. Second, and this is very important. Racism, money's not going to get you out of racism. I don't care how much you make. What made us good in the 60s and 70s in the Black community was that it was a Black community. Now young kids can go to Riverside High, go all out. Many of the kids that are doing good out there came from our communities. Mm-hmm. When we was coming up, we couldn't do that. First of all, they didn't want us out there. Second, it was just a situation where we lived in Black communities. The projects at one time was predominantly Black, not predominantly Latino. Things change. And then my point is that the importance of character and values. This is Kwanzaa, in Nguzo Saba, 7 principles. If you look at those 7 principles, Umoja, unity; Kujichagulia, self-determination; Ujamaa, cooperative work and responsibility; Ujima, cooperative economics; Nia, purpose; Kuumba, creativity; and Imani, faith. All those 7 principles are very important if you incorporate them and get these young people to adopt them and practice them. But anyway, I just want to say how proud I'm like your mom, man. And, I saw all the young people up there as my sons and daughters, and just to see the success is very rewarding, and the fruits of our work to try to, keep everybody eligible. That was my job, to keep them eligible till they mature. Mm-hmm. Because, they was flunking our people out so fast up at Long Beach. And if I knew, and see, we didn't have the 3-point shot. We didn't have a shot clock in those days. So it was it's a different game now. You understand? But me and Rashaki Rigo, as you call him, we know where we knew now. We'd shoot it every time we got it. We'd get no assist for nobody. It would just be shooting. But anyway, I just want to say how much I want to stay connected with you. And hopefully that we can, exchange ideas, or I can refer young people to Job Corps through y'all. And at the same time, encourage young people to go to your basketball camp, because I see it more than just playing basketball. They're around successful ball players and a good program. So it's good to have that. And like I said, going back to Nicholson Gardens, the only people that can go back to Nicholson Gardens is people that came from Nicholson Gardens, because they know the set. It ain't easy. So Asante for that. Evo.
Hey,
Bokuno Nihongo Jozu ne demo Bokuno Tomodachi Chuck this and Nihongo Shabate now. So my boy Chuck was like, "Hey, make sure you talk Japanese from right there."
hey, Rashiki, Chris here, and DeAnthony and everybody. Would it be okay if we can hear from Carl Adams, because he's an ex-Job Corps student, and so we can get a full umbrella. And I think DeAnthony, he knows Carl, and he DeAnthony may bring him on to a team in the future. But if we could just hear some of Carl's background from where he started out at and how he got to where he is and where he is right now, so you can get like a full umbrella of this Job Corps process.
Okay, if he's willing to share, we're gonna listen.
Carl, you there?
Yeah, we can do it. So I just want to say thank you to Chris and DeAnthony and everybody else for giving me the opportunity to speak and share my story. So a lot of my story has to do with Chris. I grew up in a neighborhood where Nipsey Hussle was from. I don't know if a lot of you know who Nipsey Hussle is, but I went to Crenshaw High School, and I didn't make it at Crenshaw High School. And that's what led me to Job Corps. So when I went to Job Corps in 1996, BC, before COVID, where I met the legendary Chris Shepard. He was my residential advisor. And as a residential advisor, he was charged with the task of bringing us all together to prepare us for living independently after we exited Job Corps. So in 96, I think I lasted like two weeks or something like that, right, Chris?
Yep.
And then got kicked out of the program. I wasn't ready for that kind of independence. So I was away from my folks, and I just got to Job Corps. I'm like, wow, there's girls here. And I just kind of wowed out. But I spent some time down south in New Orleans, which was a lot different from LA. And I changed the game. I got my own apartment, my first car, my first job, just about first everything. So I learned how to be a man out there. I learned all the dumb stuff in LA. So after flipping burgers for a couple of years, I said, man, you know what? Maybe Job Corps wasn't that bad after all, And I came back to California. My parents were kind of worried about me. They sold a house because they had to sell the house. I was getting in so much trouble with gangs, they had to sell the house. And so once I came back to California with a different mind state, I enrolled in Job Corps again, and Chris was still there. And I did the program right. I think I completed in like 7 months. I got my GED and high school diploma there. And my expertise was in computers. My certification was in computer literacy, I believe is what it was. And that was in 1999 when I came back. So I took 3 years away from California to kind of grow up and be a man, And I'm thankful for my parents for giving me that opportunity to move around, because if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be in Albuquerque, New Mexico today, So once I came back, it was like I never got terminated the first time. Everybody kind of forgot that, because I was a totally different person, and Chris was still there to kind of navigate me along the way. And I completed 7 months, and after that, I got a job with a charter high school that was partnered with Job Corps. At the time it was called Guahomie Park Academy, and now it's called SciTech. And they gave me my first shot at working with students at Job Corps. I was a teacher's assistant. So my knack for computer animation and all that kind of paid off because I went to college, because I think during that time, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor, and he made it mandatory that in order for you to work in a classroom, you had to have a college degree. So now the clock's ticking. I got to get a college degree. You know, it kind of took me out of my comfort zone. I'm glad that happened. So I went to college. I couldn't get my degree in time enough. So I had to move over to the residential department. Now I got the same job that Chris had when I was in Job Corps as a residential advisor. And as a residential advisor, I kind of got to see the ins and outs of everything that Chris saw when he was there, navigating the career pathways of young men and women to be successful in Job Corps and exit the program and be productive citizens and taxpayers like all of us on this call today. So I'm thankful for that opportunity. And so when I became a residential advisor, I think Chris, at that time, he left Job Corps and went on to Treasure Island. And he was the residential supervisor, I believe. And he came to visit. And we had a conversation, and he was just like, "Hey man, keep grinding." I was telling him I was proud of him because to me that was big. He moved on from LA Job Corps, and I was still there, you know, learning the ropes about office politics and all of that. The stuff that they didn't really prepare us for in Job Corps, but I kind of learned on my own, because sometimes you can't learn everything that they teach you in school. You got to learn it through experience. So after that, I think Chris went to Long Beach Job Corps to be the residential manager. So he got another promotion. And, you know, he was like, "Come on over here and learn what's going on over here." So I went to Long Beach Job Corps as a residential advisor. And then Chris, he left Long Beach Job Corps to be in the Department of Labor, and he's been there ever since. So it was, at that time, it was kind of unheard of for a person to go being a residential manager to working for the federal government. It was kind of like you had to be a center director first, which is the highest ranking official in Job Corps. So he did something that was kind of unheard of. So that inspired me to want to progress and do more in the program. And he told me before he left, he was like, "Man, if you want people to take you seriously, you got to change your dress code." So then I started dressing in suits every day, even as a residential advisor. And that was unheard of, you know, because in that role, you're dressed down and you can wear your own clothes and stuff like that. And it really wasn't mandatory for you to wear suits like that. It was just mandatory for like supervisors and coordinators and directors and things of that nature. So he taught me that game. And then ever since then, I just been moving up the ladder ever since then. And I stayed on the grind. I went to college. My associate's degree was in computer science. And then as I got more degrees, I got more opportunities in Job Corps. So I saw it from a different angle. Before I was a program participant. Now I'm calling shots. So it was different for me. And so I had to adjust. I had to adjust to office politics and all of that. And then I learned about the metrics that Job Corps is measured on, you know, like performance, things that give Job Corps operators, a foot in the door once they get awarded Job Corps contracts. So I learned all of that stuff from Chris, and I started doing my own research of the what's called the PRH, which stands for Policy Requirement Handbook, which is referred to as the Bible of Job Corps, because it kind of tells Job Corps operators how to run the program efficiently and to make sure that taxpayers get a return on their investment. I think Job Corps costs about $1.1 billion to run annually. So, you know, the National Office of Job Corps wants to make sure that we keep operators honest. So I learned all of that. And then from the residential department, I moved on to supervising security. I'd never been a security officer, so, you know, that was different for me. And then 7 months later, I moved into a role that's called Center Standards and Incentive Manager. And in that role, you're kind of like a dean of the school. You're policing. Well, I don't want to say police. You're making sure that students are making the right choices. You're like the dean, the principal, something of that nature. And when they do stuff wrong, you're charged with doing the paperwork to process them out and mentor them so they don't have to be subjected to those means and leave the program the right way. So I did that for about 7 years. And during my tenure as a Center and Standards and Incentive Manager, I was awarded with the Linda R. Jackson Award. And the Linda R. Jackson Award is probably one of the most prestigious awards in the Job Corps community in the San Francisco regional, in the San Francisco region office, because she was revered, highly revered as somebody that was noted for doing her job well. And she was a division chief, and she passed untimely, and it was a sad moment for the Job Corps community. So I was awarded with that high award, and I was amazed that I was recognized on that level. After that, I went to college and got my bachelor's degree in business management. Chris said, look, if you want people to take you seriously, you got to get something behind your name. So I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in business management, and it was a dual program. So I got a professional certificate in project management as well. And then I got promoted to being the education and training director. Like DeAnthony mentioned earlier, that's a high position that's regarded as the second in command. And I did that successfully for about 5 years in Long Beach. And during my tenure, Job Corps was ranked, well, the Long Beach Job Corps Center was ranked number 2 in the nation out of 122 centers out of the programs that I put in place, learning everything that I learned along the way. And I got an opportunity to come to New Mexico, and now I'm here talking to you good folks. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to tell my story. I hope no one's falling asleep over there.
Oh, inspiring. Hey, listen, real quick. You know, the topic of this is the evolution of basketball in Southern California. And one of my guys just jumped on here. And so he has a documentary out. But, you know, a lot of you guys know Shea Cotton. Shea Cotton just jumped on. Shea Cotton was LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? So if you go, you know, I love the Shea to talk about his documentary. It's fascinating. He's one of the greatest basketball players, high school players ever to come out. You know, if they had a thing where they were coming out of high school, they were making money, NIL deal, man, Shea would have had all that. His brother went to Long Beach State, James Cotton, right after us right there. But Shea, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. My guy, Rigo Moore, he played with us, and Professor Raw, he was our teacher at Long Beach State. Chris Shepard from Compton, Carl Adams, my mom, Steve Whittaker used to come down and see the real run, you know, back in the day. But Rigo Rashaki, you know, he was my off guard at Long Beach State. So, you know, we got Shea. I appreciate you coming on right here, man. You guys Google Shea Cotton. I'm thank you so much for coming on, Red, and just say hello to my team and tell them who you are.
Thanks for having me. So what's up, team? Really felt the need to jump on. I saw the topic, the evolution of Southern California basketball. I feel like I'm very much a part of that as I think more importantly today, my body of work is my service. Basketball was something that I did. It didn't define me. So recently we just formed a foundation, a 501c3. The T-shirt logo is the name of the company, Academy of Ideas. We partnered with the Boys and Girls Club already, and law enforcement with the likes of the FBI and local law enforcement like Long Beach Police Department, and talk with the LA sheriffs and the LAPD as well. And the initiative is to bring the community and law enforcement together so we can start to have that dialogue to break this chain that we're seeing of systemic racism, you know, the injustices from law enforcement and the people of color in the communities of North America, so on and so forth. So it's been heavy on my heart. You know, I am a product of my environment in the inner city of Los Angeles and dealing with a lot of this stuff growing up unnecessarily. It has to change. And that narrative is going to change with our foundation work in the city of Long Beach and Los Angeles County wide as well. So that's where I am currently. That's what I'm doing as we speak. The Man-Child documentary is available. It's streaming on every platform pretty much except Netflix, which is weird, but go figure. We have strong ratings. Rotten Tomatoes is ranked at about 100%. And IMDb is giving it 4.5 stars out of 5, which is unheard of for a documentary. So in this space, we feel I'm very blessed. I'm grateful. I'm at peace with the project. And the goal is to impact lives. I mean, we're working on a Man-Child grassroots tour that will probably start once we get a somewhat of a lid on this variant and I can start traveling more in the spring. We have a college already booked and some high schools. I'm going to be doing one probably next month, but we're looking to do probably a tour of about 25 to 30 different schools, high schools as well as colleges, and just building attraction and giving people awareness and educating kids on the stories that they don't really like to talk about because they don't want to scare people so much. But, you know, my story is real, and I think that's what people can pull from when they watch the documentary. You know, all of the pitfalls, the challenges, the adversity that I faced, even the successes. You know, we deal with these things every day in life, sport or not. I mean, everybody has challenges. We all deal with some type of adversity. We all have, you know, this lack of belief at times within ourselves. We will fail at something. And the key is, how fast do you get up when you get knocked down? You know, and when you fail, how long do you let yourself be a failure, and how fast will you turn the corner to become a success? I mean, my motto is: you get knocked down 7, you get up 8. Good things are going to happen.
Appreciate you, Shay. Glad to see
That's
you.
heavy, Shay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Hey man, excellent. I'm glad to hear that you're doing that type of work, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So now, everybody, we're going to conclude, but if you guys don't mind, when we stop the recording, I just want you to stay for a minute. I want to ask you a question, and I know we've been on here for a while, so let me go ahead and conclude. I appreciate everybody for being here. And D, I want to thank you, man, for bringing everybody out and sharing your story, and everybody else sharing their stories. Carl, Chris, Shay, for coming on. I know you came in at the end, but it's better. They say better late than never.
That's right.
So
That was huge. That was huge.
Yeah, I appreciate Mom coming on and everybody that comes on and participate with the CEN show, because it's about education. And you know, we got the godfather of Long Beach State, Professor Amon Ra, dropping science twice a week, every week. So we got a grind going here, and I just appreciate it. So next week guest is Dr. Bernard. He's a naturopathic doctor, and that I've been involved with for years now, since 2014.
Yeah.
He's gonna talk. The topic is child genocide, mass death, amputations, and the destruction of the human genome. So we're gonna flip the script a little bit here. So, you know, and this platform is always open on Mondays and Wednesdays. The public is welcome. DeAnthony he's talking, so I gotta mute him right quick. But that's what's going on. So I'm gonna stop the recording, everybody. I appreciate everybody, but stay here for a second.